102.7 WEQX, and James is born of frustration. This is Joel Marshall, some very special guests on the telephone. Have not even spoken to them yet myself. I believe we have Tim Farriss and Kirk Pengilly from INXS on the other end, right?
You certainly do, Joel.
This is a rare treat. How you doing, guys?
Good, really good.
Hey, listen, we love what we've heard of the new album so far. When are we going to get the rest of it?
Well, Not Enough Time's the next single, and I think that's coming out on the 29th of July.
July 29th.
The album about a week later on August the 4th.
To be called Welcome to Wherever You Are, right?
That's right.
Yeah, or wherever you're at.
Wherever. We're at Manchester, Vermont. Where are you guys?
New York.
Oh,
I don't even know. I mean, I just got on a plane and arrived here and woke up the next morning, and I heard the sort of sirens and horns, and I knew I was in New York.
Yeah, now listen, kind of for INXS anyway, a long hiatus from the recording studio. The last studio album, X, was out in 1990. Did you go into this one really recharged and refreshed?
Yeah, very much so. And we kind of went in with a different attitude, and we went in without doing any rehearsal, which was kind of something that Tim was really happy about. And we also went in, sharing the production credits. So we felt we were very much in control and very much enjoyed making the album.
So the album's produced by the band, by the members of the band?
Yeah, basically it is. I mean, we didn't sort of... It kind of felt like, school was out and Mum and Dad were away for the summer and we had the whole house to ourselves.
Yeah. Do you have your own studio, or where was that recorded?
Yeah, we have our own studio in Sydney, and making it there and doing it ourselves and that whole thing, I think it's made this album sort of the rawer tracks to me sound rawer, and the funkier grooves sound funkier, and everything sort of sounds exactly how we imagined it would.
Oh, would there be, besides funky and raw, maybe a couple of other operative sort of buzzwords would sum up the general flavor, or is it a very eclectic sort of album?
Yeah, it's pretty much eclectic, but we've always sort of dabbled with different styles and different influences, but I think on this album we took everything a step further.
Speaking of funk, I'm curious as to how, if you put INXS aside for a second, you think Australian bands, you have, Rose Tattoo and AC/DC and even Midnight Oil, just, frantic, straight-ahead rock. How did the whole funk and soul R&B element come to be incorporated into the mix for INXS?
Well, it's something we've always kind of really loved. I mean, John and Gary, for my money, one of the best rhythm sections in the world, and they're very good at whatever it is they do.
Yeah.
And back in the late '70s when we started, it was our biggest influence were very much at the time sort of, I guess. There was a lot of punk things happening, but there was also the ska movement from England.
Sure.
and reggae, and we always sort of opted for the more backbeat sort of type grooves,
Right.
And we just figured it's just got to be funky.
Well, I have a question for Tim, going back to the real early days. How did it end up that you ended up being the guitarist and John got the drum set? Was just the way it worked out at Christmas one year? Or?
Well, no. Actually, as it was, I remember my father saying to me when I was 8 years old, well, son, you're either going to play the guitar or the trombone. What's it going to be? And I didn't have much hesitation in picking the guitar, I can tell you that. And then, when Andrew got to the same age, he'd already sort of made it clear that he wanted to play the piano. And then he took up guitar not long after that. And
John always got bashed up by Andrew and Tim, so the obvious thing for John was something that bashes.
John's the youngest, I guess, then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, let me throw a couple, not having the album here actually to listen to, just throw a couple song titles from it at you, and maybe if you want to just describe the tracks in brief, if you have a second here. I see there's one called Communication on the new album.
Yeah, that's a track that we really like a lot. It's probably not destined to be a big single or anything, but I think it also goes a long way to summarise where the band's at the moment. It's got a lot of the kind of elements that I think sort of summarise INXS music.
Well, okay, what did you say the next single was going to be then?
Not Enough Time, which comes out on the 29th of July.
The spelling error should have been Not Enough Tim.
Oh. Not enough Tim. More Tim in the mix. That's the cover graphics on the first single, Heaven Sent, kind of like a computerized Scotch tape sort of job. Is that the...
Yeah, the whole... everything we're doing basically on this album You know, it's just cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah, it took us a long time to make up our minds, so it was kind of a last-minute thing. We just managed to get that bit of scotch tape on the CD before it was released.
What will the album actually look like?
A lot like that. Actually, there's a sort of a following theme on all the artwork for everything for this record. That it's kind of situation photography, and you know, and most of the group shots, we're all wearing, I won't say uniforms, but like we're all wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's you know, in that respect, it's kind of a bit of a return to the '60s as far as image is concerned.
Sure.
But then it's not like the flower power kind of '60s. It's more like, you know, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah. The pre-1965. So. Again, just for people just tuning in, this is Tim and Kirk from INXS. We're waiting for the new album, Welcome to Wherever You Are. The first single, Heaven Sent, when I first threw it on, I thought maybe we had a bad pressing or something, and they realized, no, that's a vocal effect. What, were you striving for, you know, a return to the 60s sound, or did it just...
Yeah, we wanted to sound a bit like a dirty old record, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I guess, you know, the vinyl doesn't really exist anymore, and there was a lot to be said for often the way mixers would sound in the old days. You know, by the time the old sort of valve compressors had done their job, that added a bit of distortion to the vocal, and, you know, sometimes they used to mix the vocal back so that the band sounded louder and therefore punchier and harder.
Right, the band does come through.
If the vocal track's up louder, you know, it doesn't tend to sound as in your face, you know, and Michael, funnily enough, was the most into it. You know, actually, before we released this, it was actually twice as distorted.
So you backed off on it. Well, it sounds great, and I'd like to, this must be costing you a fortune, so I'd like to throw, well, not that you can't afford it or anything, but I'd like to throw Heaven Sent on the radio right now. And Tim and Kirk, thanks again for talking to us. We look forward to the release of Welcome to Wherever You Are in August, and then the next single, Not Enough Time, July 29th.
Thank you, and I'd just like to say a special hello to the Spauldings if they're listening there in Burlington.
In Burlington. Okay, we'll call them up and give them a transcript of the conversation. Thanks, guys. Here's INXS, new one, Heaven Sent from the upcoming album. Welcome to Wherever You Are on 102.7 WEQX.
See ya.